You know what? Since we're in the TTRPG mood, let's watch this one. The most important RPG no one talks about. Let's watch this shit. You know what? I want to watch this. Let's watch some game stuff for once. Holy shit. All right. The most important RPG nobody talks about.
When you ask them what the most influential RPG series of all time is, they're gonna say Final Fantasy. Maybe Elder Scrolls if they're feeling spicy. But there's this whole other series that basically built the foundation those games are standing on.
Oh,
and
man,
most people
Ultima.
have never even heard of it. And that drives me absolutely crazy because
Anyone play Ultima Online in chat? Any Ultima Online gamers?
the story of how it came to be is one of the wildest, most improbable things
I
in
played
all of gaming.
Ultima Online.
Richard Garriott has managed to escape
Lord
the Earth in a way by creating another world inside of a computer. Travelers here can find a map in their pack showing the world of Britannia, the setting for Garriott's long series of computer games.
You play EQ? I couldn't get into EQ. I was kind of sad. I wanted to play EQ.
It all starts with this kid named Richard Garriott, 16 years old, living in Texas in the late 1970s. And this guy, this absolute nerd in the best possible way, is spending every single evening playing Dungeons and Dragons with his friends. And every single school day making actual playable dungeon games on the school's teletype machine and turning them in as assignments. And his teachers kept giving him A's. I don't know what was going on in that school district, but God bless them for it. So, his dad eventually buys him a monochrome Apple II, and Garriott doesn't miss a beat. He sits down, fires up Apple Basic, brings his D&D friends over as his test group, and starts building something. He called it Akalabeth, World of Doom. This is where Garriott starts figuring it all out.
These old, old text-based RPGs, man. The original MMOs were like that. They were, they were just chat rooms, basically. What kind of chat rooms? And you can, walk around in them and stuff. You had equipment. Those were crazy. I used to play those a lot when I was a kid. They were giga nerdy, man. Really, truly nerdy shit.
The top-down world, the dungeon crawling, the whole idea of going deeper and fighting tougher and tougher monsters. That all begins here. And even Lord British, the guy who gives you quests, that's Garriott himself. His friends gave him that nickname at computer camp because of how weirdly formal he sounded when he said hello. And the Lord part came later when he started running D&D games.
There
but
it
he
is.
Didn't stop there.
By multiple user dungeons,
the first actual Ultima game was out. Ultima.
I know a lot about this stuff because I used to play these a lot.
The First Age of Darkness. Same top-down.
Dude, we should play Ultima, honestly. I haven't played these games in forever. In fact, I don't even remember what happens.
Tile-based look as Akalabeth, but now you had a real story. You're a hero summoned to this land called Caesarea to take down an evil wizard named Mundane, who made himself immortal using something called the Gem of Immortality. The only way to kill him is to find a time machine, go back to before he completed the gem, kill him in the past, and shatter it before it can save him.
He says hello weirdly.
Cool fantasy premise, right? Totally standard stuff. Except, you can also buy a spaceship in this game. You can get a phaser. You fly into orbit and shoot down.
This is a guy who just he was just a nerd. And he just was like, I'm going to put everything into my nerd thing. I don't care.
What are essentially TIE fighters
Honestly, I
in a
fucking
medieval
respect
fantasy
it.
RPG.
I respect
in
it.
1981. I genuinely think that Garriott's D&D campaigns were the most chaotic things that have ever occurred in a suburban living room.
I would have loved to play in one, you know?
Ultima
Anyone
II,
play Ragnarok Online? Oof, I played that game so much. Dude, I was an absolute menace in that game, in Ragnarok Online. You have no idea how much of a menace I was. I used to have this PvP build where what I would do is I would have a quadruple frozen mace. All right, quadruple frozen regular mace. And then I have a Envenom clip. And the reason you have the Envenom clip is because Envenom has a 100% hit rate. So you don't need the dex to hit people with high agi. You just Envenom them for 1 damage. Okay? So you spam Envenom on a bitch until the quadruple frozen mace procs, which freezes the other person. All right? So you freeze the enemy. right? So now they're like an icicle, right? Now, you gotta do this fast. Immediately, you count 2 squares behind them, like 2 tiles behind where you froze them, all right? You drop a warp portal into buttfuck Egypt. Like I don't know, like I forgot the place, like, you know where like the beaches, like you drop a warp portal behind them, and then your other accessory is a magnum brake clip. So you drop a warp portal two tiles behind them, and then you magnum break them into the portal, and then you send them to buttfuck Egypt. And if they don't have a butterfly wing, they're fucked. It's gonna take them an hour to walk back to town. And I had people fucking DM me like, you fucking bitch. Fuck you. And I'm just like, yeah, get fucked, dude. Get fucked. He's just like in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the thing is you can't just kill yourself, because that's 1% EXP. If you die, you lose 1% EXP, and it's a lot. Like, there's a lot of EXP. Like, when you're high level, just for some context, 1% EXP is like almost an hour of grinding. Right? So it's like, yeah, dude, I was an absolute menace in that game. There was this guild one time that messed. This is another true story. There was a guild that messed with me in PvP. They were like one of the top like PvP guilds. I killed all of them. I killed all of them with like some bullshit. And you want to know what I did? It's absolute degeneracy. So this is how I killed them. I had 2 accounts, and on one account I had a high-level wizard. All right, high-level wizard, full int Stormgust build. Okay, and so what I did was, if you use another character to cast firewall on them, it knocks them back. But then if you line up the firewall just right, it like knocks them back. But okay, here's the thing about Ragnarok. The target, if you guys didn't know this, it's actually so retarded. Did you know that range calculations in Ragnarok were client side? You're gonna see just how degenerate this goes. It's client side. So what you do is you firewall yourself, right? So you have like your wizard, and then you firewall your wizard, which knocks them back, right? But the thing is the knockback doesn't occur until they call the server. Okay, so if you have your wizard facing like north, okay, if your wizard is facing north and then you firewall them to the north, it knocks them back 1 cell backwards. But then their client doesn't know that they got knocked back until they move. Okay, so you knock them back off of the fucking map. You just knock them back so far until they're all the way on the other side of the map, and then you can free cast. You can, because you didn't move yet, so it didn't update your location to be like, actually you're all the way back there, right? So what happens is you're on your screen, you're in the middle of the map, right? So what happens is now I can cast level 10 Stormgust with maximum int, and then like all I have to do is sit there on my priest and Lex Eterna them and hit them with an Envenom clip to like break them out of the Stormgust, so that when the Stormgust is so normally Stormgust has 3 ticks, right? It tick, 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 and then you get frozen and then you're immune, right? But then if I'm hitting you on my other character while you're in the Stormgust, you're just getting hit over and over and over and over again, like like a max damage one, and it just kills you. Yeah, and the thing is so I would dual computer. I'd like dual box, and one box I'm casting spells on my wizard from like artillery range, and on my other one I'm just hitting people with a mace, and then using Lex Eterna, which like doubles the damage that they take. Yeah. There was a bunch of other shit that you could do too, like another thing that you could do is if you were playing a sage or an archer. These are the 2 classes that can do it. Is sage and archer. And this is how I killed a lot of people, is if you issue a command to move, issue a command to move forward, right? What it does is it tells everybody that you're moving to that specific square. Now, if you use a move that cancels movement but doesn't actually do anything, a good example is cancel. There's like a spell. Fuck, what's that move? I forgot. There was a sage move that did it, but for archer, it was called arrow crafting. Right? Normally a completely useless skill in combat. Arrow crafting. Like, why the fuck would you do that in combat, right? So what you have to do is you have to have arrow crafting, but you have to have no items in your inventory that can actually craft arrows. So you have to have both, right? So what you do is you walk in a straight line and you hit arrow crafting as you're walking. And so what that does is it stops you in place because the server goes, oh, you stopped to cast arrow crafting, but then it's an invalid skill. So what that does now is that your character keeps moving. So to everyone else, you're still moving, but you're actually not. You're actually in the spot that you pressed arrow crafting. So how can you use this? You make yourself immune to all AoEs. You can make yourself immune to all AoEs. You can like teleport behind people. You can knock people all sorts of weird directions. Yeah, I was a psycho in that game. I was an absolute psycho.
Came out in 1982. And this is where one of my favorite little stories happens. Ultima II came out in 1982. And this is where one of my favorite little stories happens. I was like one of the best
PvPers in that game because I was an absolute psycho. I would do all this bullshit, basically. like another one I used to do. Sorry, this is the last one I'll tell. But another one I used to do is I used to pre-portal. So a pre-portal is basically before anybody sees you, you remember a specific spot on the map and you pre-portal. Like, so you put a warp portal on that specific spot on the map, but then and what it says what happens is it starts casting you cast the portal, which like has a casting animation, and then a little menu pops up, and the menu says, where would you like the portal to open? So you can pick like one of your teleport spots, right? But what you do is you don't actually touch it, you just move that window. You move it to the side. And so you play the entire time in PvP with that portal menu up, right? But you remember where that portal was. So if somebody tries to fight you in PvP and tries to hit you, what you do is you bait them onto that one square and then you just hit enter and then the fucking portal opens up underneath them and then sends them to buttfuck Egypt. Yeah, anyway. Yes.
Back then, games were sold in Ziploc bags. Just a disc and a couple of photocopied pages. That was it. Garriott hated that. He wanted Ultima II to feel like something real, boxed, with a cloth map of the world and an actual manual. Now, that sounds normal now, but in 1982, almost nobody was willing to do it. Except one company, Sierra Online.
That's Online.
Literally why he signed with them. From that point on, every main Ultima game came with a cloth map.
Dude, I wonder how much those are worth.
They started adding little...
You think those are worth a lot of money now? Like those cloth map Ultimas? They must be worth a lot.
Physical items, too. Coins, stones.
I'm gonna ask. How much do you guys think that shit's worth? You know the cloth map that came with Ultima? How much is that worth now?
Let me check for you. So, an original Ultima cloth map can be surprisingly collectible, but it depends on the exact game edition and the condition. Roughly speaking, maps from Ultima 2 can fetch maybe $75 to $200.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Later ones, no. Later ones like Ultima 3 to 5, often in that 50 to 150.
What's the most
range.
expensive one, though?
And one moment. It looks like the big ones are the very early ones, you know, the original 1982 Ultima 2 heavy cloth map in great condition. That could go for several $100s just for the map.
Really?
Complete.
Well, how much though? Like what?
Yeah.
How much has one sold for?
Let me check. I don't see a verified record of a single high sale, but standalone maps generally seem to top out in the low hundreds. The 5-figure stuff is for complete first edition big box games, you know, with everything included.
Dang. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. It was a fun one.
Yep.
If you happen to find... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
If you happen to find an old Ultima box at a garage or estate sale, have a closer look, because those complete sets can be really collectible.
Hell yeah. All right. Peace. All right.
They called them feelies, and they were actually really cool. So by 1983, Garriott had knocked out a full trilogy. And Ultima III Exodus is where things get genuinely historic. This is the game that introduced the party system. 4 characters, different classes, and actual tactical combat. It had a written narrative carrying a story that was bigger than anything the gameplay alone could tell. And the villain, Exodus, is this thing that's described as neither human nor machine. A demonic, self-aware artificial intelligence. Lots of historians of the medium consider Ultima III the first modern computer
Dude, this was
RPG.
the realest
Not
shit
just
back in
an
the day,
early
man.
one, the first modern one. It influenced Dragon Quest. It shaped games across the entire genre in both the East and West. After Ultima III came out, Garriott started getting fan mail. And one letter really stood out. A player wrote in, amazed at what he thought was a hidden mechanic. He'd been losing a fight with a sword, switched to a dagger, and suddenly won. He thought it was genius design. Different weapons for different enemies.
Oh my god, this happens all the time. This happens all the fucking time, man. Like in game development or like game design, where like something happens on accident and the players are like, oh my god, that was like so cool. I can't, like, it was such a good idea that you did that. And you're like, oh, right. Yeah, true. Actually true. Yeah. Damn, yeah, you got me, man. Like that. Yeah, I made it like that for that reason, yeah. Lightford, thank you so much for the $2 Rumble Rant. Ultima is such a fun series to play in the day. Some of those things done in those games are still not done in games today, like detailed NPCs' daily routines.
Garriott read it, got confused, and checked the code. He'd been losing a fight with a sword, switched to a dagger, and suddenly won. He thought it was genius design. Different weapons for different enemies. Garriott read it, got confused, and checked the code. Turns out it was a bug. Weapon choice didn't matter at all. Damage just scaled with your level. Sword, dagger, anything. Players had been experiencing this the whole time and were interpreting it as deep game design. That one story tells you more about what Ultima was doing than almost anything else could. It was building worlds so layered and alive feeling.
It's so fun that happens, though, all the time in game development.
That players were inventing depth that wasn't even there. That's not a bug. Well, technically it is. But more than that, it's proof that something genuinely special was happening. And the wildest part, this was still just the beginning. But after Ultima...
Also, slop, right, guys? Slop. He didn't specifically want that. Slop.
Pre-shipped, Garriott started getting letters from parents. Not fan mail this time. Complaints. Parents were furious that his games let players steal from innocent people, murder peaceful citizens, and generally behave like complete sociopaths if they felt like it. But then it got weirder. Some people were writing in convinced there was satanic content in the games, pointing...
You guys remember when it was the right wing that was trying to censor shit?
Specifically at Exodus,
I remember.
whose terrifying visage was plastered right on the game's packaging. And Garriott's response to all of this was not to apologize.
And Pokemon, do you know what it means? Pocket monsters. The monsters in the pocket of children, demons, Satan spawn.
Ezra dial things back. He was like, okay, if people are going to be looking for hidden meaning in my work,
totally
whether it's
agree.
there or not, then I'm going to actually put something meaningful in there. So he sat down and he watched a television documentary about Hinduism and the concept of the avatar, a being who descends into the world to embody divine principles. And something clicked. Ultima IV, Quest of the Avatar, dropped in 1985. And it was unlike anything that existed in gaming at that moment.
Your first Pokemon was Diamond and Pearl? I haven't even played Diamond and Pearl.
There's no villain. There's no dark lord waiting at the end of a dungeon. Nobody is trying to conquer the world. Instead, the ruler of Britannia...
I played... okay, these are the ones I played. I played red, blue, yellow, the sapphire, ruby, Black, White, Sun, Moon, Sword, Shield, the Violet, whatever the fuck one. I played that one. Never played Gold, Silver, Crystal. No. I played Pokemon Stadium though. Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap. Yeah.
The land formerly known as Caesarea, renamed after Exodus, was defeated. Lord British summons you not to fight evil, but to become good. Genuinely, philosophically good. The entire game is built around 8 virtues: honesty, compassion, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, spirituality, and humility. Your actual behavior throughout the game tracks against them. Kill a fleeing enemy, your honor drops. Lie to an NPC, your honesty takes a hit. Every choice you make has weight. The virtue system.
That guy flossing?
Your honesty takes a hit.
Dude, that guy's flossing. That guy's flossing in the 80s, dude.
It's a hit. Every choice you.
He's flossing.
Takes a hit. Every choice you make has weight.
The first floss
the virtue
ever.
system was partially inspired by Hindu philosophical concepts of purification and character development, and partially by Garriott's reading of The Wizard of Oz, with the Scarecrow representing truth, the Tin Woodsman representing love, and the Cowardly Lion representing courage. Those 3 principles combine into 8 virtues, and those 8 virtues combine into one ultimate concept: infinity. The whole thing is this elegant philosophical architecture hiding inside what looks like a fantasy RPG. Forget Super Mario Brothers. I genuinely believe Ultima IV was the most revolutionary game of 1985.
Damn.
People who played it back then, they still talk about it like it changed something in them, because it kind of did. And here's the hook that Garriott laid beautifully across the entire second trilogy. Everything that you do in one game comes back to haunt you in the next. When you finally achieve enlightenment in all 8 virtues in Ultima IV and retrieve the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom from the volcanic depths of the Stygian Abyss, claiming it causes massive tectonic upheaval beneath Britannia. A vast network of underground catacombs opens up. Lord British leads an expedition to chart this new underworld, and his party never comes back. And in his absence, his right-hand man, Lord Blackthorn, gets corrupted by these shadow entities called the Shadow Lords and goes completely off the rails.
Man.
And this is where Ultima V, Warriors of Destiny, released in 1988, picks up. And look, I love this game. I think it is one of the most underrated things in the entire series. Blackthorn has taken the 8 virtues and he has turned them into mandatory law. Not suggestions, laws, with brutal consequences for breaking them. Honesty becomes, thou shalt not lie, or thou shalt lose thy tongue. Sacrifice becomes, thou shalt donate half of thy income to charity, or
Commies.
Thou shalt have no income. The Avatar, the spiritual hero of Britannia, the person whose example inspired this entire system, returns to find the world they helped build turned into a police state built on a perverted version of their own philosophy. You're now an outlaw. You're breaking into sealed dungeons, stealing from Blackthorn's castle, and trying not to get ratted out by the terrified civilians around you.
Oh, this
and
is
if
like
you do get caught,
Shadowgate.
if Blackthorn gets his hands on you and demands information, you can refuse to give it up. But if you do, your companions are executed, one by one, permanently.
Holy shit.
They don't come back. This is 1988. Games didn't do this. Ultima V also introduced something technically remarkable for its time: NPCs with actual daily schedules. Characters wake up,
I heard
go
this
to
was
work,
crazy.
eat dinner, go to sleep. The world keeps moving, whether you're watching it or not. Diagonal movement in combat, a deeper magic system. This was the most sophisticated old-school Ultima ever made. And honestly, it's still too hard for most modern players to get through without losing their minds. But if you can handle it, there's nothing quite like it. And then comes Ultima VI, The False Prophet, in 1990. And this is where Garriott does something that genuinely...
Can you imagine this guy, like, just doing this shit? Did he do this on his own?
Almost nobody was willing to do in a mainstream game at that point. He makes you confront your own heroism. You return to Britannia to find it under assault from a race of creatures called gargoyles. Terrifying-looking things, dragging people through Moongate portals, attempting ritual sacrifices.
Holy shit.
So, naturally, you gear up and prepare to go to war against them. And then the game slowly, methodically starts pulling the rug out from under you. Turns out these gargoyles aren't evil. They're not attacking out of malice. They're fighting for survival, because a prophecy says that a two-legged creature with a sword broke into their most sacred temple and stole their holy book. And that act began a chain of catastrophic events, destroying their world. And the sword-wielding thief who started all of this, that was you, back in Ultima IV, when you retrieved the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom from the Stygian Abyss.
Bruh. What a twist!
That was their codex. You stole it. Lord British himself, when you figure all this out, still wants you to just kill the gargoyles rather than pursue peace. You have to override your own king's instructions to do the right thing. The game subtitled itself The False Prophet, and didn't reveal until the very end that the false prophet was the player all along. The entire second trilogy is this extraordinary piece of moral architecture, where Garriott used each game to stress test the ideas of the previous one. Virtue becomes tyranny in Ultima V. Heroism becomes oppression in Ultima VI. And technically...
Thank you, Rebel Red. Thank you for the raid. Thank you so much.
The series was evolving...
Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome. Leaflit, thank you so much for the Dwindle Rumble rant. To be fair, Gary did have stuff that did come from occult sources, but that was more because Ultima was based on D&D. Yeah, I mean, yeah, D&D has a lot of that kind of stuff as well, right? Like it's got, you know, zombies and demons and stuff like that, and vampires.
Just as fast as the storytelling was. And by 1990, the first 5 Ultima games had collectively sold over 470,000 copies for home computers in the United States alone. In Japan, the series had moved over 300,000 units on the Famicom. Ultima was being ported to NES, Super NES, Master System. The NES version of Ultima IV basically felt like it had been rebuilt in a Dragon Quest style. And it brought in a whole new audience in Japan. And over there, it blew up. We're talking manga, soundtrack albums, and a bunch of random merch, watches, desk stuff, even clothing. There were even rumors of an Ultima anime. At that point, the series had gone way beyond what anyone expected. But all of this success was drawing attention. The kind of attention that sounds great on paper and then tends to end badly in practice. By 1992, Origin Systems had grown well beyond just Ultima. They launched the Wing Commander series, which had become one of the biggest franchises in PC.
Wing Commander was so sick back in the day.
Gaming, eventually starring actual Hollywood actors like Malcolm McDowell and Mark Hamill. The company was, by any measure, at the absolute peak of its powers.
Dude, it was
And then Electronic Arts showed up. In September of 1992, they bought Origin Systems. And if you know how those stories usually go, you can already feel where this is heading. Because earlier that same year, before the deal, Origin had just released what many consider the greatest RPG
old as fuck. I'm not old. I don't know what Circuit City is. Shut up.
Made Ultima VII, The Black Gate. And that timing matters, because everything before the acquisition and everything after it felt like 2 completely different eras. The peak and the fall, separated by one deal. And to understand what was lost, you need to see just how good Ultima VII really was. Okay, so it was released in 1992, and still to this day, it is considered by many people to be the benchmark for open-world interactivity in video games. Not Skyrim, not Breath of the Wild, not The Witcher 3, Ultima VII from 1992. You could pick up and interact with virtually every object in the game world. You could bake bread, actually bake it, using a functional oven with real ingredients. Over 100 characters each had their own personality, their own daily schedule, their own full conversation tree. The entire game ran in real time. No more pausing combat to think. Voice acting appeared in the series for the first time.
I know that we have met before, stranger. Dost thou not recall?
That crunchy
the whole
audio.
thing could
Love
be
it.
played almost entirely with a mouse. In 1992. Garriott himself called it one of his personal favorites in the series, and honestly, it's hard to argue with him. But Ultima VII wasn't just technically extraordinary. The story was amazing. The Avatar returns to Britannia and almost immediately stumbles into a series of ritual murders being committed by members of a seemingly wholesome organization called the Fellowship. Now, the Fellowship is this self-help group that's spread through every town in Britannia, preaching their own ethical system as an alternative to the 8 virtues, offering charitable services exclusively to members, running personality tests that somehow always reveal deep flaws in whoever takes them that only the Fellowship can fix. Sound familiar?
Interesting.
Garriott has said openly that the Fellowship was directly inspired by Scientology, right down to the leader, a man named Batlin, who bears a striking physical resemblance to L. Ron Hubbard. The whole thing is a razor-sharp satirical portrait of cult recruitment tactics hiding inside of a fantasy RPG.
Damn.
And the Fellowship's ultimate agenda? Using member donations to build a black moon gate that lets an evil, godlike entity called the Guardian physically enter Britannia.
Though, to be honest, this is what passion looks like. This is what it looks like when there's a person that just wants to make shit. They're like, I just love what I'm doing and I love what I'm making, and that's really all it is. It's not about chasing like the bucks or whatever, right? Like
being orchestrated.
And this is the problem with a lot of the modern day gaming industry is like they don't really have that anymore. You don't have people that are like, and maybe like we'll see a resurgence of it with like AI. I think AI, you'll see a resurgence of people that are like really excited to work on things.
By a disembodied voice that talks directly into the avatar's head throughout.
Almost all of it, all of that stuff is going to be in the indie scene, right? There's like a ton of really, really cool, innovative indie games that you've probably never heard of. I mean, I can name a couple right here. I mean, like what are these small ones that people really like? Like there's like Lost Castle 2 is really, really good. Like one of those games. I really like what do you call it? Chrono Arc. I love Chrono Arc so much. Let's see here. Esports Godfather, one of my favorite games. There's like what else is on here? I'm going through my I gotta play this Great Villainous Strategy of Lily. I bought that game too. But there's a ton of these, like, dude, Esports Godfather is so good. I should play it again. What a good game. Holy fuck.
Entire game. Playing psychological games with you. Genuinely unsettling stuff. And here's the wild part.
This is how I feel, by the way. Like, anytime I get to work on Angel Sword, I'm just excited. Like, I can't wait. Like, working on Angel Sword just makes me so happy.
Garriott had a rivalry with EA, and he put it straight into Ultima VII. The killers in this game are named Elizabeth and Abraham, E and A, and the main villain spreads his power through 3 monoliths, a cube, a sphere, and a pyramid. Which at the time was literally EA's logo. He shipped that, and then EA bought the company. Nobody said a word. Ultima VII also got a second part, Serpent Isle, released in 1993. Same engine. Continuation of the story. The Avatar chasing the Fellowship's founder, Batlin, to a previously unknown landmass that turns out to be an ancient fragment of Caesarea from the first trilogy. The storyline was incredibly ambitious, with a genuinely melancholic tone, an entire dying civilization to unravel, and one of the most emotionally devastating moments in the whole series, the voluntary sacrificial death of Dupré, a companion who had been traveling with the Avatar since the earlier games. But production was rushed to meet deadlines, and you can feel it. Halfway through the game, the narrative momentum just stalls. Inventory management becomes a headache. There are some genuinely terrible puzzles, and you have to manually feed your companions or they die. Which sounds funny, until it's the 4th time that it happens at a terrible moment. The bones of something great are absolutely there, but the execution is uneven in a way that the previous games weren't. And that unevenness, well, that was just the beginning of a much bigger problem.
Oh, no.
By the time that Ultima VIII Pagan was in development, EA wasn't in the background anymore. It was the whole story. They wanted the game out by Christmas of 1993. It wasn't ready. Garriott knew that it wasn't ready. EA told him to cut whatever it took to make the date. So he did. And what shipped was, by his own admission, the most incomplete and broken game he had ever made. If they'd had more time, it could have been great. Instead, it's a mess. Bare-bones story, no companions, a stripped-down magic system, and somehow platforming in an Ultima game where missing a jump can kill you. Most of it takes place in the same gray caves, the quests don't work properly, items are missing, even skill trainers don't teach anything. It barely feels like Ultima anymore. The planned expansion got canceled.
See, this is what happens all the time, man.
And
this is what happens. You get a bunch of people that get their fucking hands on stuff that they don't actually care about the thing. They just care about making money, or they care about... Yeah, it's so annoying. Many such cases.
Perfect example of what happens when deadlines override design. And then there was Ultima IX, Ascension. Released in 1999 after 5 years of development and multiple complete restarts. Key staff left along the way, the story kept changing, and expensive cinematics from earlier versions had to be reused even when they no longer made sense. The result was a broken narrative that contradicts its own series. Characters flip roles with no explanation, major storylines get ignored, and at one point someone literally asks, "What's a paladin?" in a series built on paladins. What's frustrating is the core idea was actually great. The Guardian is revealed to be the Avatar's own dark half, the embodiment of everything that he cast out to become virtuous. To defeat it, he has to merge with it, essentially ending himself. But none of it lands. The game released buggy, unfinished, and widely criticized. It sold poorly, Garriott left soon after, and by 2004, Origin system...
Dude, that is so sad. Like, seeing the thing that you love, the thing that you poured so much effort into, and then some big company just fucking takes a shit on it. Like, that's awful.
Was shut down. The company that built one of the most influential RPG series ever, gone. But
I can't do this ever, man. Like, I literally can't do it. I can't ever sell Angel Sword or anything like that, no matter how much they pay me.
Back in 1997, 2 years before Ultima IX even released, Origin had launched Ultima Online, and nobody, not even the people who made it, fully understood what they had on their hands. Ultima Online became one of the earliest and longest-running successful MMORPGs ever made. The alpha test opened in April of 1996, and on the very first day, players figured out that archers could stand inside a tavern and shoot through the windows at new players who couldn't shoot back. Because that's exactly what archery slits were historically designed for. The dev team had to watch their carefully constructed world immediately become a proving ground for human chaos.
Yep.
But something extraordinary happened alongside that chaos. Players used the clothing dye system to create matching uniforms for their guilds. They organized weddings with coordinated bridesmaid dresses. Military personnel deployed overseas would schedule in-game dinners so they could share a meal virtually with their families back home. People founded theater companies, taverns, police forces, sporting leagues inside a video game world. Ultima Online wasn't just a game, it was a society. It ran for years, accumulating 8 expansion packs, sustaining a passionate community that by any reasonable measure should have moved on long ago. The rights situation today is its own kind of tragedy. EA owns the Ultima copyright. Garriott still owns the rights to several of the characters. Neither party can make a new Ultima game without the other's permission, and as of June 2020, Garriott publicly confirmed that EA had turned down every proposal that he had made to revive or remaster the series.
Wow.
So Garriott did the next best thing. He started a new company called Portalarium and launched a Kickstarter in March of 2013 for Shroud of the Avatar, Forsaken Virtues, which he described as the spiritual successor to Ultima. The first episode released on March 27th, 2018, to mixed reception. The subsequent 4 episodes have not materialized. The virtue system that Garriott built...
It's really expensive to make games like nowadays, like to a quality standard that people expect because of AAA gaming. So like I said, like AI really is the way out of this. It's the way that we can retake everything.
The Ultima IV,
this is why I love AI
honesty,
so much.
Compassion, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, spirituality, humility, the concept of the Avatar, a blank slate through which a player inhabits a role and is judged for the choices they make, was
Sometimes
literally the
copyright is just
first
a crime
time that
against humanity.
word.
Yeah, especially because copyright is intended really to help with creativity, but more often than not, copyright actually ruins creativity. It throws everything into the gutter.
Was used in the context we use it today. Every time that you create a character in an online game and call it your avatar, you're using language that Richard Garriott gave you. Every open world game that lets you make moral choices and live with the consequences, every MMO with a player-driven economy and a housing system and guild customization, every RPG where NPCs have schedules and the world keeps moving without you, all of it is downstream of what one teenager built in his bedroom in Texas because he wanted to play his D&D campaigns
Legendary.
on a computer screen. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, support the channel by subscribing, and let us know in the comments which RPG is your favorite, and maybe we'll feature it next.
Which RPG is my favorite? Like video game? Rhapsody. It's still probably Rhapsody. But yeah, what a video, right guys? Did you guys know about Ultima? Man. Wait, what? He got Ultima creator gets rights back from EA? Really? This just happened. This was a month ago. Pretty cool if he did, honestly. Man. What a good channel. Pixel Playback. Dude, I'm gonna watch more of this guy's stuff.
Welcome, Moon and Star. Come to me through fire and